Okay, I want to start this deep dive with a concept that, honestly, it kept me up last night after reading through all that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We spend, the vast majority of our waking lives chasing this one thing. We trade our time for it. We trade our energy. We miss birthdays for it.
Right.
But, and this is the terrifying part, the source material argues we fundamentally do not get what it even is.
It's the water we swim in. But we never, stop to actually analyze the composition of the water.
Exactly. We're talking about money, but not how to invest or which stock to pick. We're going way deeper to the almost metaphysical nature of money itself.
Hmm.
And the premise is heavy. What if the money you're working so hard for is designed intentionally to leak away your life energy?
It does sound like a conspiracy theory when you put it like that, doesn't it?
It does.
But when you strip away the jargon, like our sources do, it's just the mechanical reality of the system we're in.
Like, what's the core argument?
The core argument is that most of us feel like we're on a treadmill. We're working harder just to stay in the same place. Because the floor under us, the money itself, is slowly moving backwards.
A moving floor.
Yeah.
That's the visual I want to hold on to. So our mission today is to look at the history of this moving floor.
Right.
We're going to deconstruct money from first principles. No crypto slang, no complex charts, just the logic of how we trade value. And to do that, the source takes us way, way back.
All the way to the beginning, before banks, before coins,
Yeah.
to the classic village scenario.
Okay, so set the scene. I'm in the village. Let's say I'm a rice farmer.
You're a rice farmer. You've had a bumper crop, more rice than you can possibly eat, but you have a problem.
What's that?
You're barefoot. You need shoes.
Simple enough. So I walk over to the local shoemaker with my sack of rice. I say, 1 pair of sandals, please.
And right there, that's where the first economic friction of humanity just hits you in the face.
Yes.
The shoemaker looks at your rice and says, sorry, I'm gluten-free. Or maybe I just ate. I don't want rice. I want milk.
So I'm stuck. I have wealth, my rice, but I can't unlock it. I can't turn the rice into shoes unless I go find a milkman who happens to want rice.
And then you have to get the milk, bring it all the way back to the shoemaker, and, hope the milk doesn't spoil on the way.
This is the coincidence of wants.
That's the one. It is the fatal flaw of barter. For a trade to work, the stars have to align perfectly. You have to find someone who has what you want and wants what you have at the exact same moment.
And the source makes this point that this isn't just, an inconvenience.
Oh, not at all. It's a civilization killer.
Right. Because if I can't trade my rice, what happens to it? It just rots.
It rots. You cannot save. And if you can't save value, you can't plan for the future. You can't build a house that takes years to finance. You can't specialize.
What do you mean?
Well, if you're a dentist in a barter society, how do you get paid? In chickens. How do you save chickens for retirement?
You need a really, really big coop and a lot of feed. It's totally impractical.
Right. So humanity, we hit a wall. To progress, we needed a technology, some way to store our time and energy in something durable. We needed a battery for value.
Battery for value. I love that phrasing. So money isn't just currency. It's a storage device for human effort.
That's the critical definition. When you work today, you're generating energy. You need a way to freeze that energy so you can unfreeze it, say, 10 years from now to buy a house.
So the village starts looking for things to use as this battery. The source lists a bunch of failed experiments. Seashells, giant stones, beads. Why didn't those stick? Why aren't we paying for coffee with seashells?
Because they failed the physics of good money. The source breaks this down to 4 key criteria.
Okay.
If you want something to be money, it has to be 1, durable. It can't rot like your rice. 2, divisible. You can break it into small change. 3, fungible. Every unit is identical. And 4, the big one. It has to be scarce.
Scarcity. That really seems to be the most important one here. If I can just walk down to the beach and pick up more seashells.
Then the seashells become worthless. Someone will just flood the market and poof, your savings vanish. This is why history eventually, sort of, converged on one specific element. The king of money.
Gold.
Gold. And it wasn't random. It wasn't just because it's shiny. It's physics.
Physics.
Gold is incredibly unreactive. It doesn't rust. It doesn't explode. And crucially, it is incredibly hard to get out of the ground.
This is the concept of honest money that the source talks about. Why honest?
Because you can't cheat it.
Yeah.
You can't just fake the effort it takes to mine gold. If you hold an ounce of gold, that represents a real, tangible amount of human labor. No king, no emperor could just snap their fingers and create more of it. They had to send people into mines.
So for thousands of years, gold was the standard. It was the anchor.
Yeah.
But I don't carry gold coins. I'm assuming you don't either.
I certainly do not. And that's the logistical flaw, right? Gold is heavy. It's dangerous to transport. If you want to buy a house in the next town over, you're basically a sitting duck for bandits if you're hauling a wagon full of bullion.
So the market innovates,
Mm.
and we get the receipt era.
This is the pivotal transition. People started leaving their gold with goldsmiths or early banks places with secure vaults. The banker takes your gold and gives you a piece of paper, a claim check.
I owe the bearer 1 ounce of gold.
Exactly. And people quickly realized, hey, this paper is way easier to carry, so they just started trading the paper instead of the metal.
But, and this is the key part, the paper was the gold. It was a proxy.
Yeah.
You could walk into that bank any day, slap the paper on the counter, and get your physical metal back.
It was a one-to-one backing.
So far, so good. We have convenience, and we still have the honest backing of gold. But the source calls this the original sin of modern finance. What happened? Where did it go wrong?
The bankers noticed something. They looked at their vaults and they realized, well, nobody ever comes to get all the gold. Everyone's just happy trading the paper receipts.
Oh, I think I see where this is going. If nobody ever checks the vault,
Why not print a few extra receipts? Just a few. Maybe lend them out to a friend. Maybe invest them. As long as everyone doesn't come back at once for their gold, nobody will ever know.
wait, so they're issuing receipts for gold that doesn't actually exist?
Yeah.
Isn't that just fraud?
In any other industry, yes, it would absolutely be fraud. But in banking, it became a feature, not a bug. This is the birth of fractional reserve banking.
Fractional reserve.
The idea that a bank only needs to keep a tiny fraction of the actual gold or money in the vault compared to the receipts they issue.
That seems incredibly risky. What if everyone panics and wants their money back at the same time?
Then the bank collapses. That's a bank run. And we've seen those all throughout history. But the temptation to print free money was just too high. And then governments got involved.
Oh.
And governments throughout history have one very specific problem. They love to spend money they don't have.
Usually on wars, right?
Wars are the biggest driver, for sure. But also big social programs, monuments. If you tax the peasants too much to pay for it all, they revolt. But if you just print more receipts to pay the soldiers,
Nobody notices right away.
it feels like free money for a little while.
Until the link snaps.
And it did. It snapped several times in history, but most famously in the 20th century. Governments finally just dropped the pretense. They said, you know what? This paper is no longer redeemable for gold. We're closing the gold window.
And that is the birth of fiat.
Fiat. It's Latin for let it be done, or maybe more accurately, because I said so.
This is the part that really blew my mind. We went from this paper is valuable because it represents a rare metal to this paper is valuable because the government says it is and they have guys with guns to make sure you accept it.
That's the blunt reality of it. Fiat currency is backed by nothing but the full faith and credit of the government that issues it. It's completely unmoored from physical reality. There's no scarcity anymore.
So let's talk about the consequences of that. Because the source argues this isn't just a philosophical change. It changes the mechanics of our lives, right? The physics of our savings.
It changes everything. Because now the supply of money isn't determined by how much gold miners can physically dig up.
It's determined by a committee, a central bank.
Exactly. And this brings us to what the source calls the silent theft, inflation.
Now, I always thought inflation just meant prices go up. You know, greedy corporations raising the price of milk or whatever.
That's the narrative we're often fed. But the source argues that's completely backwards. Prices aren't going up. The value of your money is going down.
Okay, walk me through that. How does the value go down just because they print more of it?
Imagine we're at an auction. There's one painting for sale. And everyone in the room has $100. The bidding will only go so high.
Right.
But now, imagine a guy walks in with a magical printer and just hands everyone in the room another $1,000. What happens to the price of that painting?
It skyrockets, of course.
Did the painting get better? Did the artist add more paint?
No, there's just more money chasing the same thing.
Exactly. When the government prints new money, which they do, by the trillions, they are diluting the existing pool. Think of it like a rich, hearty soup. That's the economy. If the chef just pours a gallon of water into the pot,
There's more soup by volume.
but every single spoonful is weaker, it has less nutrition.
And if I worked hard to earn my bowl of soup before they added the water, I just got robbed.
You got robbed. Your savings, which are just stored energy from your past work, were diluted. And the source calls this theft because it's involuntary. You didn't vote for it. No one sent you a bill, but your purchasing power just vanished.
This explains the Cantillon effect mentioned in the deeper notes. I want to touch on that because it just feels so unfair.
It is inherently unfair. The Cantillon effect basically says that when new money is printed, it doesn't appear in everyone's pocket at once. It enters the system at the top.
The big banks get it first.
Yeah.
Government contractors.
They get it first, so they get to spend the new money before prices have gone up.
Ah, so they buy up assets, houses, stocks, whatever, at the old, cheaper prices.
Bingo. By the time that money trickles down to you, the wage earner, the teacher, the rice farmer prices have already risen to reflect the new, larger supply of money.
So the system effectively transfers wealth from people who save
Mm.
to the people closest to the printer.
It punishes savers and rewards debtors. Think about it. If you're responsible and you save cash, you're the loser because your cash buys less every single year. But if you borrow millions to buy real estate, inflation actually helps you.
Because you pay back the debt with cheaper and cheaper dollars over time.
Exactly. You're escaping the melting ice cube of cash by holding a hard asset.
That is.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly disheartening. It feels like the rules are designed to strip mine the middle class.
It flips the whole moral incentive of a society. It encourages speculation and consumption over saving and building for the future.
Okay, so that's the value problem. But the source pivots to something even darker in the modern age, the control problem.
Right, because money isn't just paper anymore, is it? It's not even paper receipts. When was the last time you paid for something big with physical cash?
Years. Has to be years. It's all tap, swipe, click.
It's a digital ledger. It's entries in a database. And the source asks a pretty terrifying question. Who owns the database?
The bank, the payment processor, the government.
Correct. And if you don't own the database, you don't actually own your money. You have permission to use it.
And we've seen this happen, right? The source mentions specific examples of people's accounts just being frozen.
It happens more than people think. Political dissidents, protesters, sometimes it's just a glitch in an algorithm. In a fully digital fiat system, your ability to buy food or pay rent can be turned off like a light switch.
It's the ultimate form of control. If you step out of line, you are financially deleted.
The source calls it panopticon money. You're always being watched, and your access is conditional. So not only is your money losing value every second,
The soup is getting watery.
but you only get to eat the soup if you behave yourself.
So let's recap. We have a system where the money is. 1, not scarce. They can print infinite amounts. 2, not really yours. It's in a database you don't control. And 3, losing value by design.
That is the summary of the modern fiat experiment.
It sounds like a trap.
The source argues it is a trap. It's what keeps you on the treadmill. You have to work harder and harder just to maintain your standard of living because the currency itself keeps debasing.
Okay. Is there an exit? The source material eventually pivots to the solution. And I know some listeners might roll their eyes, but we have to talk about it because it's the punchline to this entire history.
We have to, because whether you love it or hate it, you cannot understand something like Bitcoin unless you first understand all the problems we just listed.
Right. Bitcoin wasn't just some tech startup trying to build an app for coffee.
No, Bitcoin was an answer. Specifically, it was an answer to the 2008 financial crisis and this entire history of fiat debasement. The mysterious creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, was trying to engineer a digital version of gold.
So let's run it through that good money checklist from earlier. Scarcity.
Absolute. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, period. The math dictates it. No government, no committee can decide to print 1 trillion more to fund a war.
So it solves the watery soup problem. There is no chef who can add more water.
Exactly. The recipe is locked. It's fixed.
Okay, what about the permission problem? The database.
That's the decentralization part. There is no central bank. There's no CEO of Bitcoin. The ledger is distributed across thousands of computers all over the world. No single person can freeze your account or block your transaction.
So it's permissionless.
It's an attempt at the separation of money and state. Just like we separated church and state, Bitcoin attempts to take the power of money creation away from politicians and give it to pure mathematics.
Trust the code, not the king.
That's the ethos. It's a return to honest money, but built for the internet age. It's digital, it moves at the speed of light, but it has the predictable scarcity of gold.
It's fascinating, even if you don't own any. Just understanding why it was created changes how you look at the dollars in your bank account.
It really does. It forces you to ask the question, what is actually preserving my labor?
So we've gone from the rice farmer to the gold vault to the central bank printer and now to this decentralized digital network. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is just awareness.
Absolutely. Most people play the game of money without ever reading the rule book. And the rule book explicitly states we will devalue your savings over time.
And once you know that, the world makes a bit more sense. The rising prices, the struggle to buy a house, that feeling of running in place, it's not just you failing. It's the system working exactly as it was designed.
And that knowledge gives you power. You can start to make different choices. You can start to think about how to, opt out, or at least how to hedge against the system. Maybe that's hard assets. Maybe that's gold. Maybe it's Bitcoin. But you stop blindly trusting the paper.
You stop treating the receipt as if it's the gold.
Precisely. You recognize the receipt for what it is, an IOU, from a system that has a long history of defaulting on its promises.
I want to leave the listener with this final thought from the source that really stuck with me. We spend our entire lives trading our limited, finite time on this earth for money.
Time is the only truly scarce resource we have. You can't print more of it.
So if you store that precious time in a currency that is designed to leak value, aren't you just letting someone steal your time?
You're letting them steal your life. Slowly, silently, year after year.
That is a heavy thought to end on, but a necessary one. Check your wallet, check your assumptions, maybe take a closer look at that moving floor beneath your feet.
And maybe buy some shoes for that rice farmer.
He deserves it. That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening to us unravel the mystery of money. We'll see you on the next one.
See you then.